That fuck no, we're gonna have to cut that.
You want to read? I mean,
Yep,
that's
clap.
fine. Let's do a second clap. 1, 2, 3.
All
Bam,
right.
we're
Boom.
here.
Bam, boom, bing, bow. Bing.
The FYTB podcast, bro.
FYTB. Yeah, those are the letters. The FYTB podcast.
In the green room at Riot Room.
Yes. Infogates. T-Dub.
T-Dub.
AKA W.
AKA
Toasted,
whatever you want to
whatever.
call me, the toasted one, whatever.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and just so everybody out there kind of knows, like, we've been working on this for a few months. We're not 100% to where we wanted to be before we launched it. We were going to launch it next week. But in light of the last 72 hours or so, we decided that it would be a good idea to put out now. So you're not getting the full experience of where we're going with this. So, I mean, if tune back in, because obviously we're going to be adding to it all the time. We plan on having guests on here regularly.
Hopefully
and,
every week.
Hopefully
really,
every single week is kind of our goal. National guests all the way down to people that you probably never even heard about. So,
next week will be the first real one, basically.
Yeah.
So we just, me personally, and then after talking to him, felt like we should go ahead and do this one too, because, as he said, the climate that's been going on this weekend with me, I felt the need to go ahead and talk about it before we just drop something, being at the fact that we are, as we planned on, recording this at the Riot Room, which is the center of this controversy and the stuff that we feel like we need to talk about today, and go ahead and get out there before, at least that's how I feel, before, people who have their opinions made up about this place or whatever, and maybe would assume that me, you, or whoever is coming here besides certain facts. And so we just needed to talk about it.
Yeah.
We just needed to talk about it. I needed to get some things off my chest. I'm sure
I got
more than enough to get off his
Yeah,
chest, so.
I got a lot, man. Like,
So, yeah. So where do we start? I guess for people that don't know at all what happened, I guess.
I mean, we can. I guess
Talib Kweli, Dub, you booked Talib Kweli, right?
Yep.
Starting kind of there.
we booked Kweli. His show was supposed to be Wednesday. What was yesterday? The 21st.
I think so.
Wednesday the 21st. And Riot Room, man, I don't even know where to start with this. So basically, to make a long story shorter, Riot Room over the last 10 years has consistently booked a wide variety of music, of every genre, of every culture, and they've supported everything. That's something that they've stood for, and that's something that they're proud of. And I'm proud of them for doing that, for being one of the only venues in the Midwest that's willing to open their doors to anybody or any kind of music, without prejudice or whatever that word would be. They allow people to do things. With that being said, I know for a fact, because I know the people who book, and I know the inner workings of Riot. I don't work for them. I don't get paid by them. I book shows there, but I am friends with the people that do a lot of the stuff. I know they wouldn't allow hate speech or white supremacists to join up in here and do whatever. They wouldn't allow that. Now, if this band...
Well, I think we're getting ahead of it a little bit. So you booked Kweli, and then he didn't show.
No. So what happened was we booked Kweli. Mm-hmm. Let's start this. So this band, Take, I don't even know if that's pronounced right. I think it's Take or Take or something like that, is a Norwegian death metal or black metal band. They openly denounce religion. They openly say some kind of fucked up shit about religion. And I'm not defending that. I'm not doing anything. But this band in 2007, as a shock factor, they say in Germany, drew a swastika on their chest and went on stage, got kicked off, got booted from the country, and then when asked about it, they denounced being Nazis and racists, but made an anti-Muslim remark when he did that, so it's not a good look for him. You know what I mean? And I'm not defending the band at all. Like, they're probably not good people. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, they were booked here. Riot Room, at the time of them booking, didn't know that this picture was out there. They didn't realize this. Last week, Nebraska Antifa, put out a statement that asked why Riot Room had booked this band. They started to do the research, figure out where it was at, realized it was hearsay, that it wasn't a proven fact that these guys are trying to bring white supremacists into their venue. So they were toying with the idea of canceling it, but couldn't necessarily cancel it off of hearsay without maybe possible legal repercussions from the band. So then Khalif catches wind of this band being booked here. He hits Riot and he's like, hey, I'm going to cancel my show if you don't cancel that other show. Mm-hmm. At first, Riot and my reply was, hey, we want to stay neutral in this situation. We want to stay neutral. Then he was like, well, neutral's not good enough. You're going to have to make a decision and cancel that show and publicly apologize for booking the show, or I'm not doing the show. Mm-hmm. Then our reply was, okay, we'll work on canceling this show. Give us 24 to 48 hours to figure this out, and we'll move on. His reply was, well, if you don't publicly apologize, I'm still canceling your show, and I'm slandering you guys. Mm-hmm. That was his reply. He in replies said he was going to slander Riot Room and the promoters for being Nazi sympathizers because we were being neutral. Then I myself, I don't hide from controversy and or debate in any way, shape, or form. Never have, never will. If you follow me on anything, you know that that's something that I don't shy away from it. I kind of want to take it on in the head and figure it out, you know? So I tweeted him, asked him where we draw the line on artistic freedom. I've gotten that answer since then, and we can talk about that later. But I asked him that immediately, without even anything. He said, you're a Nazi lover, racist white boy, fuck you.
Okay, all right.
So then I got mad. I replied. We went back and forth for approximately 2.5 days. On Tuesday, my Twitter handle was the #1 most mentioned Twitter handle in the world, which is fucking mind-boggling to me, but it was. And then we're here. I was on Facebook defending Riot Room and the fact that they booked this band. I never defended the band. I never said that the band was morally right. I don't know anything about the band. I'm just defending Riot Room and the fact that they've always been open and allowed and booked all different types of music, all genres, and they've been a bipartisan music venue.
Right.
So that's kind of where we got to this point.
Okay. Right. And since this is, this topic affects you and the Riot Room the most, but this is our podcast, so I feel the need to chime in too. I had people that were asking me where I stood on this issue, and I stand in a lot of places, I guess. But I, first off, from my perspective, I've known the people that run this place for probably about 12 years or so. So that obviously plays a certain role in my perception of what people were thinking when decisions were made and things like that. Off top, when I first saw the Quali thing, granted the fact we've been playing in this podcast for months, we know each other, we speak pretty regularly. I didn't know anything about this from you or the Riot Room until I saw something online. So I clicked the link. It was like Quali threatens to cancel show or something like that. I don't think he had actually canceled yet when I saw it. I think he was threatening to, or maybe he did. I'm not sure.
Behind the scenes he did.
Okay, all right.
Let that be. So
I clicked the link and read the thing. And the way it was presented, definitely I was like, I have to be 100%. Like, that's how I am. I got to say that too. I don't bite my tongue to my closest friends, to the people I have no fucking idea who they are. If I see somebody doing something fucked up, I'm going to say or do something about it. And I also will applaud people who do the right thing, right? So with that said, I was like, I looked into the article, And I'll throw this out there too. Like I'm half Jewish. My mom's whole side of my family's Jewish. I've been, when I was a kid, first time I ever got beat up. I got beat up, called a kike, my first week at public school and shit. My great grandmother's sister, I guess it is, was a Holocaust survivor, escapee from Poland. I remember seeing her tattoo on her arm.
Crazy.
So
That's
when I was brought up as a kid, I went to a private Hebrew academy until I was in like 3rd grade or 4th grade, and so I'm raised to like despise and stand up against any form of anti-Semitism type of shit like that. And on the other side, I also work really tightly with the black community. I mean, I've made hip-hop music for a long time. I teach kids who are mainly inner-city black kids how to make music every day. I feel like I work pretty closely with the black community, and I don't think I would get to where I am and be who I am if I was any kind of a racist. I like to believe that. I hope people that know me think the same thing.
And that's the way I feel too, bro.
Right. So so people ask me how I feel about this, and I have to be honest. When I read Kwali's thing, I agreed with him. I was like, I saw the picture of the dude with the swastika on his chest, and I was like, I stand by his both artistic and just human rights to stand against and up for whatever he wants to, and I thought this was a good thing to stand up against. And so I was like, I can fuck with that. I have no problem with him saying that.
Mm-hmm. And let me.
And so can I finish
real
quick?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I was hoping in that moment to see my friends that run the Riot Room, people who I've known for a long time. I was hoping to see them cancel when he gave that, when he was like them or me. I was deep down, maybe partially too, because I wanted to go to the show as a Kwali fan historically. So I felt like I wanted them to cancel the Taki show or Takei show, whatever the fuck it is. And I stood with him standing against that, right? And I broke it down to the fact that I know these dudes, you don't look them up and they're like, every show is Heil Hitler, and they're going out hunting down Jews or Muslims and shit. But to me, it's never okay to use that as shock value. So I was with him on that shit. When, to me, what happened is he was right, and then he was getting righter, and then he got too right. When he started, like, he got so right that it went where he didn't know it was going to go. When you start, like, calling people racist and Nazi supporters who I know, and I can't like, not say anything about that. Because if someone called me those things, which I'm not standing by the Riot Room's decision to book them, it swayed the way I looked at it when I found out that they didn't know much about the band, and the fact that you said that they were in the works of canceling them or whatever. So those things I didn't know until now. That's another thing too. We've been like we
kind of avoided each other for a couple days for this reason.
Yeah, we start talking about it, and I'd be like, no, stop. I want us to both say how we truly feel organically, on this podcast, so we don't sway each other's views ahead of time or anything. So, all right. So back to how I feel about it. I stood by his decision to stand up against a band like that playing here. I was personally slightly offended just because of who I am, my personal upbringing, my sensitivity towards anything like that, any hate groups, and the fact that I consider this place like, a place where I cut my teeth and I feel comfortable and safe here, and cared about here and shit like that. So that was where it started fucking with me, is when like, this is a place I've come for 10, 12 years. I don't like the fact that they did this. I don't like that they booked this show. But they canceled it, which I'm super glad about that too. Like, super glad. And I know that if they would have known all this shit, they wish they wouldn't have booked them like I do. Yeah. I know that.
And
And I've known these guys, like I said, I've been here a bunch of times when bullshit got stomped out. And I know if I was here and some motherfuckers were running around talking about Heil Hitler or any type of crazy shit, spewing the rhetoric, I know that I would be like, dude, no, like, fuck that. That shit has to get the fuck out of here, or worse. And they would stand by that.
And they would.
I wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't film a podcast anywhere where I thought that it was like that. So my thing is, I think they made a bad decision by maybe booking a band they didn't know enough about. I think they made maybe a not harsh enough decision, quick enough decision to cancel and denounce the shit, right? But on the flip side of both of those things, I know these guys to not be racist. I know these guys to not knowingly give anyone a podium to talk about any hate group, bullshit, fascism, anti-anything, racism, sexism, homophobia, because I wouldn't put myself in environments like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I want people to know that about me. When people ask me, like, a lot of people have been here too, and they know these people here too, where they're like, man, what do you think of this? Like, I know these dudes, but fuck, I feel some type of way. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like that's...
And it's okay to feel some type of way. Like,
especially...
I've never, like, not one time did I say that Talib Kweli was wrong in the way he felt. Like, if you're offended by it, you're offended by it. If you don't want to do the show because you don't want to do the show, that's fine, but you can't... And he's wrong in the fact that he can't demand a public apology from a venue when... legitimately this venue books 600 acts a year, man.
My thing is just, yeah,
like you can't like
it's not fair for people in Kansas City. I think you should, if you want to feel some type of way, like I said, I personally do too. I'm sensitive to anything like that. If it's
and I appreciate the sensitivity, and I'm not never once did
I think it's perfectly okay to feel some type of way, but when I see people like that are like attack, relentless, not hearing nothing.
Which is what Kweli did to me, bro.
It's not the they didn't book a group called the Charlottesville Quartet or some shit.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just
they booked a Norwegian black metal band.
And I'm not saying that to undo the fact that the fucking dude put a swastika on his chest. If that guy was here right now, back to my old rhetoric, it'd be some fucking broken furniture. I can't. So, like, that's why, like, immediately the thought of that shit pissed me off. I'm like, this is my family. How could y'all book someone who has fucking swastikas?
Right.
But, like, it's not that clear cut. I understand the punk rock, the old school punk rock mentality, which spills over into the death metal, into that black metal, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm no fucking expert on this shit, but I understand what you're trying to do by getting shock value. But if you ever go that far to, like, put a swastika or a Ku Klux Klan mask, a hoodie... You fucked up.
You done fucked up.
And it's like the end of Inglourious Bastards. You get the fucking tattoo in your shit.
Yeah.
So everyone knows. And that's what that dude has, is he has this thing now.
Uh-huh.
And he should, and I think that's what Kweli wanted to do, and I'm fucking with that. You don't get to use it for shock value and get fans off it, and later on, when motherfuckers are unaccepting hardcore of shit, you don't get to just hide from it.
Right.
If it's shining the light on shit like that, I'm with it. And I think shit like this needs to happen for people to reevaluate the sensitivity levels of the public towards shit like that.
Yeah, no.
So you got to just be super conscious, especially, since Trump got elected, people are walking on fucking needles on everything. And I think most of it's good. I'm with all the Hollywood shit. I'm super with it. I'm with all these females who, were put in fucked up situations where you had to jerk a dude off to get a role. Like, I'm not good with it. So I'm cool with flashlights shining on that shit.
Me too, that's. Yeah.
But you have to differentiate. To put this place on a public pedestal and say it's a racist establishment, they share their stage with Nazis.
It's
They're
simply
okay
not true.
with behavior like that.
Yeah.
I can't stand by that because I've never seen it. And if somebody spewed that shit on me, I would hope I had people that came to my defense. I better, or I'm fucking everybody up.
And nobody can. And that's the thing that kind of bothers me the most is like,
it went too far.
I didn't say anything racist. I didn't say I supported Nazis. I don't support that shit. If somebody's out in the streets talking that shit, punch them in the fucking face, by all means. But you can't punch somebody in the face on hearsay and alleged. You can't do that. And you know what I mean?
I think. Don't you think that kind of makes sense? Like he was so right that he became wrong.
Yeah,
you feel me? Because his cause was right and all that shit.
Totally. And I never once got on Twitter. I never got on anything and said, you can't feel this way, bro. You're wrong for feeling this way. I never said that.
Because I don't want to be affiliated with racists. I feel like that shit affects me, being that we're going to record the show here.
Yeah.
I feel like that affiliates me with racists.
But that's where I was trying to defend the room and the people that I care about that I know wouldn't do this out of malicious intent. And it's like, and because I'm defending the room it makes me a Nazi sympathizer. That's simply not true, man. Like, in this day, there's a gray area there. I can not agree with what Nazis do, but also not agree with the violence that Antifa brings. Just because Antifa feels like their morals are better.
I think at the end of the day, the best thing, like, I like unity. I like people to get along, people to stand together, and people, love and shit. I'm with that. So I don't think you can get there without just conversing with people, trying to understand. And if you really feel strongly that they need to be swayed one way, fight your case, debate the shit out of them, and try to change their mind. But you can't expect, even people who are in Black Lives Matter or whatever organization that people are in, there's going to be people that have differences in opinion on micro subjects, I would think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's an overall theme that people need to agree on, which is that racism is bad, anti-Semitism is bad, homophobia is bad, women's rights are good. Like, you need to just find these things, agree there, and then keep it there, and then work through the fucking shit, the transitions and shit with people. That's how I feel. Like, I'm not going to light the match on the riot room for this. It's just not that bad. It's the type of thing where I'll speak my opinion on it and let them know. I mean, obviously I'm not alone. It wouldn't be an issue. People are offended by that shit, but it wasn't an intentional thing. I know that to be true because I know these guys.
Yeah.
I have to speak how I know. I would expect people who know me to do the same fucking thing.
That's the way I feel about myself in this situation, too. I feel like people, like, my track record should speak for itself on this issue, Like, not one time in the 8 years that I've been booking hip-hop or a part of this whole thing has somebody ever thrown at me that I'm a culture vulture or thrown at me that I'm racist. Not one time. And it's like, I get on Twitter, I make one question to Khalid, he calls me a Nazi and a racist, and all of a sudden that becomes fact. Like, to me, what he's doing and the way he does this dilutes his message. Because you're putting a blanket statement that just because I don't agree with the way you handled this situation, that I'm disagreeing with your feelings.
I think one of the things, like, to be honest, as your friend too, you know what I'm saying? I think you were in a heated argument, and your head was spinning, and you were saying things and getting thrown shit, and you were responding. But like, it might have been one of the things we started talking about was were the lines drawn, and to me, that's one of the good things, at least from my perspective, that this will hopefully accomplish.
But okay.
Is that line. This is my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And so the argument is, what about Johnny Rotten? What about Marilyn Manson? What about all these people?
What about them? What about the fact that Chief Keef's booked here next month and that dude glorifies gang violence? Like,
gang violence is a different thing.
It is, but it's still violence and people being killed, and it's still not good.
I understand, but there's just different types of not good, man. Like, people are. But
where's that line of not good?
I think, like I said, I think this is where, from my perspective, this is where the line is drawn. Is anything that's Nazi related, hate crime related, Ku Klux Klan related, anything that people they can feel that shit.
And I'm
people
with
can
you.
Feel that.
I'm
shit.
with you on that. But
and
there's also
people can feel the gang violence shit too. I understand that, but that shit's an environmental issue. It's not anything. It's a different issue, man. Especially with people, like I said, who have family history, dude, and people who understand how these things have shaped our society, how it is now.
Right.
Like, shit, like, the Nazis fucking could have won, bro. Like,
yeah, they could have won.
Shit almost happened.
They could have won, and that's all history. Everybody I understand that. I feel like.
So people are, and I think rightfully so, just super hypersensitive to that shit, man. It just is that. It is that, and it just is that, dude.
And I get it, and I'm with you on all of that. But to me, just because you and I and even the majority of Americans feel like that's where the line is, there's still a bunch of people who don't feel that way. It's to me like
freedom of speech, right? It's like freedom of speech is one of those things that's like not really that, though. Like, it is, but it's not, dude. You can't. The closest thing I could think of, right, to like where people fucking just super freaked out in our lifetime was the cop killer thing with Ice-T.
Yeah.
So if he would have said, I think if he would have said, kill the crooked cops, it wouldn't have had the same response. But when you go, kill all the police, then all it takes is one cop to get shot, and they're going to freak the fuck out, especially if that cop didn't have a history of being crooked, had a good history of report, right?
Right.
So when it's saying, like, when it's a group aimed at a group people and it's sparking social chaos and shit, they're going to step in. Society or the people in charge, one or the other will. So if you go stand on Westport Road and Broadway and you hold up a sign with a swastika on it,
you deserve to get punched in the face.
But the dude had a swastika on his chest, right? So here's where it gets confusing to people. So if you stand on the corner and hold that up, you're either going to get your jaw broke or the police are going to come and take you away.
Right.
Facts.
So
it gets confusing.
Well, no, the police aren't going to take you away. No, the police aren't going to take you away.
Standing on the corner with the swastika, I think, is illegal, bro.
It's not. There's a reason why the rallies happen. There's a reason why these things happen, is because even though there's a moral law and there's an actual law. And moral law, that shit is fucking wrong. But in actual law, that's not wrong.
But there's
also I'm not defending them
I'm no
for
fucking
doing that.
lawyer, but I know there's like certain laws where
if they infringe physical,
you can't like be in a place of work and call a gay dude
yeah, no, but
in front of coworkers and shit like that. So there's obviously stipulations to your freedom of speech.
No,
you can lose your job for saying shit. I know that.
Yeah, but that's because it's personal. That's because
there's not real freedom of speech.
That's personal.
If you can sabotage your own career over saying some shit, what kind of freedom of speech is that?
Good question. But what I'm saying is the business has a choice to fire them or keep them, not the court system.
No, well, the courts would back that. The courts would back you firing a dude. Like, remember the actor, the black dude that was on the fucking House or one of those hospital shows? There was like an intern guy doing something, and he called him a faggot or a soft bitch or something like that. And the dude went and told on him, and that dude's career is done.
Yeah.
Done. And that dude was like Isaiah Washington. That was his name. Yeah. He was in a ton of shit. He was a working actor, and
I guess to me it's just like I get it. I'm not supporting the band. If everyone wants to,
and that's what I think. Like I said, dude, a lot of people have just this throbbing erection to be unforgiving to people.
Yeah, and I'm not even forgiving him.
There's things that are to be unforgiven for.
Yep.
And I think
I'm not forgiving him.
When I put right under the microscope in my perspective, and from my perspective, to get my 2 cents out there, I'm disappointed in some things, as I have been with friends in my life. You know what I mean? But if it was a different thing, I would probably have to cut ties. If they booked a knowingly Nazi band and they were like with the shit and all that shit, that'd be a different fucking story.
Right.
But I'm not gonna twist the story to make it that just so I can be this hard ass.
Which is what Chili Cooley did. But that's beside the point.
I don't like that they booked them. I wish they would have canceled them quicker. But I'm glad they canceled them. I think moving ahead that it'll be a lesson learned, and I think they'll be a little more sensitive to how other people feel.
But that's where I feel like people don't understand the business of this situation too.
And there's that too.
You're like they could have canceled them quicker. Well, legally
they're moving fast too. They're booking shows, keeping it moving.
But legally they can't just cancel that fast because if in the court system, if they cancel this and Take decides, hey, these people canceled and broke contract because of hearsay and slander, they could get sued. So they had to maneuver this carefully.
I don't think they would have had a good case with that swastika picture.
It's hearsay. It's not hearsay for the picture. It's hearsay that they're practicing Nazis. Because in my opinion and in my viewpoint of the world, Nazis and racists don't denounce that they're Nazis and racist. They're proud to be that.
I can't say that. Here's just something I think. And once again, this all ties back to what I just think my issue with Riot is. I still, like I said, I'm not abandoning this place like a lot of people online and Facebook and shit seem to be doing. Like just jumping all the way on Quali's train. Like I said, I agree with a bunch of things that he stood for and did in this situation. Especially empathizing that, if I was on tour and I knew something like this was in Cincinnati, I probably would say some shit about that shit too. If I would have known, if I knew that, if I was in his shoes.
Here's the trickle down effect. It's like, so now, is he going to research the bands that every venue he's played at has booked?
Clearly, I think that's what he's doing.
He hasn't.
Or he
because
has
the
other
Regency in LA that he still has booked had Take booked until yesterday. He didn't say anything about them. He only attacked us.
I don't know how he found out about it. Who told him?
He found out about it from Nebraska Antifa tweet. And I'm telling you, man, like, I get it, and I'm not saying that he's wrong or you're wrong or anybody's wrong for feeling the way they feel.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not going to go all the way that far. I'm not going to give the death sentence to somebody who just needs to get, 2 months. Like,
yeah,
that's how I feel about this situation, man.
I feel like Riot Room doesn't even need to get 2 months. Like, these dudes have continuously booked all different types of genre.
This is a fact, and this is just all, like I said, reasons over. And I've seen dudes put hands on girls and everybody get them the fuck out. I've seen dudes in here talk racial slurs, get them the fuck out.
Get them the fuck out.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. So I can't in my right fucking mind say that this place is that type of place to give someone a Nazi platform. I don't think they did their homework properly. That's what I think. Well, and I think this might, like I said, every bad thing, I like to think on the other side of it is a good thing coming. So in this situation, what I see and hope will happen, I think will happen.
But here's my thing. There's a band that's playing here. I don't want to start any shit, but their name is I Hate God. Nobody says anything about that.
That's not the same as a swastika, Dub. Like,
no, but
this is where you're losing people, man. Like if my band's called Fuck God or whatever, that's just an opinion. That's like being an atheist or something. But when you wear something or you're affiliated with something that is tied to not only a mind state but an actual historical event that exterminated millions of people, bro, there's a big difference between having that symbol on you for controversy and having I Hate God for controversy. That's where the line's drawn, and that's where I think that needs to be figured out here, is that's where the line's drawn, dude.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I'm not discrediting that at all.
Ku Klux Klan mask, dude? No, dude. Like,
yeah, I'm not discrediting not discrediting the fact that he wore the swastika.
God, questionable, spark of controversy, but okay. Like, when we were talking about it before, like you got to find a way. You got to be clever enough to find a way to get shock value without taking it there.
And I get it. And they fucked up. This band fucked up by doing that.
Yeah. And it's never going to go away.
It's never going to go away, and that's fine. But with that being said,
the Riot Room doesn't deserve to be treated like their Take. Okay?
But
that to me,
true.
That's
or me for that matter. But to sum it up, to be just devil's advocate here, I'm not defending the band. I think that the band should have a black eye forever. But it's still hearsay.
What's hearsay?
That they are actual supporting Nazis.
That's where you're confused. That's not the point. The point is that he put it on his body.
Okay, and that sucks.
Once you do that, and there's no but though. Once you do that, you're that, bro. And so, yeah, dude. I mean, it's that, bro. To a lot of people. To a lot of people.
To a lot of people, but that...
Even if you're doing it for shock value. Even if you're like, you get off stage and you scrub it off and go, I just did that fucking around. Too late. That's how people feel. That's how I feel, and I'm not alone, bro.
No, and I get that. So Marilyn Manson, just another person who openly wears. He doesn't have a swastika on, but he wears the whole costume, the whole outfit for shock value.
Yeah,
but nobody accuses him of being a Nazi.
I think people do.
And
there's a lot of places that won't book him. Actually,
he still sells out. He sold out Sprint Center, man. Like
so what? I mean, but there's still controversy. He still has, and the difference is too. This is how society works. It's not how people like logically think. But when you get that big, you get away with shit, man. You got billions and billions of dollars.
And that's where this isn't right.
Well, that's another issue. That's another issue with society. But there's still a good amount of people that are like, fuck Marilyn Manson if he wears Nazi shit.
I agree.
That do picket Marilyn Manson. That do like protest his shit.
Completely fine to protest it and picket it. But I get it. I don't want to defend the band. I don't want to sound like I'm defending the band because I'm not in any way, shape, or form. Not one time on Twitter or Facebook did I ever say, "Yeah, let this band play." No, not one time. I'm okay with canceling that show. I'm on board with canceling that fucking shit. You know?
I mean, of course. I mean, I feel like of course.
where I get thrown in the mix is Talib Kweli can't demand that this room apologize or publicly apologize. Even after being told we'll cancel it, he said that's not good enough. To me, that's wrong. And then to me, when I get on and ask a simple question, I'm a Nazi racist white boy. Like, to me, that's wrong, bro. Like, it's wrong. White people, I get it. White people, it's tough for any white person to express their feelings without getting reprimanded for those feelings. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Say that again.
Like a white person, like, if I were to go back at him and say some of the shit he said to me, but in a different way, I would automatically get fucking thrown in the ringer as a racist.
That's just how it is, man.
But that's not fair.
I think it is fair.
I mean, life's not fair. I get it,
and it's even if it's not fair to you, like, it just boils down to the fact that, like, white privilege in this country does exist.
It's real.
And oppression is real. Social injustice is real.
Absolutely.
And that's why you can't do it.
And I didn't, and I'm not going to ever do that.
I know, but
because
that's why I'm saying you think it's not fair. I mean,
it's just
maybe you feel that way, but to me, I understand it.
I understand it. I understand.
Right.
I'm not saying I don't understand. I'm just saying in reality, that shit's just not fair. And it's fine that it's not fair. That's life. I get it. I'm 100% will stand with and behind black people in every single facet of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally will and have, you know? But it's not right the way that he came at me.
I think that's just all you have to say. I mean, from my perspective, I agree with you on that.
It's not right.
But I also agree with the fact that it shouldn't go. White people shouldn't be able to go there with black people. Man.
No, I'll never go there. I've never gone there. It's not even like a thought in my brain.
I know. I'm just saying. But right. I agree. Like I said, man, that's why I have to say, you know, I start like hyper evaluating this shit, and then I just have to dumb it down, man, and be like, like I said, I know these people, so I'm not gonna stand by saying these people are racist and Nazi sympathizers. But like I said too, man, I'm sensitive to this issue. I understand and empathize with other people's sensitivities.
One of my initial arguments that I've gotten some backlash for is where is the line on artistic freedom? And I still kind of want to know that line.
Like I think I just said it,
as
man.
It relates
it's
to
anything that has to do with hate-based groups like that. Anything that goes there, then it's like the sparks like social chaos. People are gonna freak the fuck out. And like I said, that's the difference between cop killer and kill the crooked cops. That's where the line's drawn. When you're like, get them, or you represent somebody who's like, get them.
But see, that's what Kweli did.
But he's fighting against racists in his eyes. When I troll his page, he goes further. He loses me on some things, right? And I agree with him on some things. He loses me on some things. So but the difference is he's fighting against racism, against social injustice, against fascism, against institutionalized.
I support all of that, bro. And that's like where he can miss me with this whole Nazi racist white boy shit because he doesn't even know me. He's thrown that shit out, and now it's a fact out there that I'm this way. When it's not a fact. It's his opinion, and his opinion turns to fact because he's got a platform that he has. And shit's not right.
I like to think when I think about this shit like hypothetical, what if somebody came at me like that for whatever reason, right? Mm-hmm. I would think maybe when I first think about it, I think my initial response would be like anger, how dare you? But I think I would just quickly be like, fuck you. Because
and
I know you're not going to find anything. You're not going to, that's your fucking opinion. Somebody could come up to me and say I'm all kinds of shit I'm not. And what's the point of getting pissed off when you know they can't prove that shit?
And I get it. And somebody told me I should have just stopped and gotten quiet. And that would have been my reply. But that's not me, man. I've never been one to back down from an argument. I've never been one to shy away from anything. You can go and try and find anything on the internet that finds me even remotely racist. You can do that. You're not going to find it. And it's just like, it made me super fucking mad when he said that shit to me. It was like, he made that, like, it enraged me. I still didn't come back and say anything bad. I didn't say that he couldn't feel that way. I never said any of that. All I was simply stating is that, like, and now that I've had a few days to, like, sit back and think about it, I agree that this band should never have played here. You know what I mean?
Word.
But with that being said, it still is hearsay that they're at this current moment Nazi supporters or or white supremacists.
Right. And that's
with that
why,
being said,
yeah, and that's why, I mean, I have to say something on that with all the flyers. If people Google me, they'll see all kinds of shit I've done here. I'm not, yeah. So then if anybody could maybe even begin to think like I would continuously, go somewhere that I knew to be like that, that's insane.
That's insane.
So I have to, I mean, yeah,
so,
it becomes
it's
to the
like,
point where, like,
when it comes to the room and Riot Room and
I think
booking,
like I said, man, I like to, maybe I'm overly optimistic on some shit, but I like to think in some ways this is going to turn around and end up being a good thing.
No, it will, and it's opening discussion, which is good.
Right.
It's opening all of these doors, which is fine. But I'm still going to stand on the fact that Talib Kweli was wrong with the way he handled this situation. Not with the way he felt, not with his fight against whatever. That's not wrong. Anybody can fight and feel whatever fucking way they want to feel. I'm never going to tell them they're wrong. What he's wrong about is demanding that this room and whoever is involved with this show publicly apologize for something else when, A, the room didn't even know about some of the allegations until last week. B, it's not Riot Room's or any venue's obligation to be the moral judge for people. You know what I mean? If it gets to a point where it's going to cause harm to people who work here, harm to patrons who come here, then get rid of it. Which is exactly what they did. But they can't sit up here and dissect every single artist or every single thing.
You don't have to. Yeah, I mean, that's my thing. I don't think you have to dissect every artist, every word, or anything like that. It's just something that blatant where you see a swastika and shit. Like, I think when you see that, you gotta, just dipset.
So then we got a dipset on the Beatles.
On the Beatles, dude?
They had Hitler on a cover.
That's not the same thing. Are you talking about on the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with all the people? Mm-hmm. Come on, man. You can't see the difference between that and a dude?
I see it, but it's still there, is what I'm saying. You gotta discredit Lemmy, because he wore a hat with a swastika on it constantly. You gotta discredit the Sex Pistols. You gotta discredit 85% of any musician in the last 50 years. And that's where
I'm cool with discrediting anybody who wore a swastika.
And I get it. That's fine if you want to do that. But that's not going to happen.
To who?
To the majority of Americans. Oh. It's not going to happen. They're not going to discredit Lemmy. They're not going to discredit the Pistols or the Sex Pistols.
Not the people who already made their minds up.
Right.
That they love.
But right. And I get it. And again, this is like such a touchy subject, and I understand why there's a lot of people who have been quiet and don't want to talk about it. But I just want to get the dialogue out there. You know what I mean? I feel like
that's what I want to do too.
And
like I said, man, I'm trying to. I know I don't have all the answers, but I feel like I have a very strong opinion on some of the areas you have questions. Like I said, like where the line's drawn. That's where I guess it could be a personal thing.
And that's the other thing. It's all personal to everybody. It's all relative.
But
and that's the issue here.
Yeah, but you have to admit this. Then, if your line is over here, if your line's that far left, or your line is that far right, then you have to expect, certain people to feel a different type of way about it, bro.
Right.
Like, I mean, not everybody's gonna feel like me, just like not everybody's gonna feel like Kweli. Not everybody's gonna feel like everybody. Like I think, like I said, the main thing is to find people who are pro-love, pro-working it out, anti burn it down if it appears to be a certain thing at first glance.
And
do your research.
There you go. Thank you.
Do your research on everything. Come up with your own opinion.
Correct.
I mean, I have my personal fucking boundaries, my personal lines. If you're a white dude who says the N-word,
you're fucked up.
Yeah, you're probably not in my close group of friends.
You're not even going to be around me.
And I've known some people who, like, if I knew them, they might not have been the world's worst person, and they may have meant that word in a completely stupid whatever context that they're trying to use, thinking they're black or cool enough to get away with it. But to me, it's like fucking some shit spray or something where I'm just like,
right.
Oh, you're white and you throw the N-word around, dude. I'm not
and
talking about the hard ER. I'm talking about the rat. I think I'm cool rat boy, the soft A, not the hard ER.
Right.
I don't care, dude. Like, however you say it, to me, it's just like, why are you doing that? Why do you need to feel the need to go that far?
Right.
Like, this fucking, that shit's not right. So
yeah.
When I see things like that, I'm not going to be affiliated with people like that, man. Like, get that shit away from me. There's just a million things like that where if you feel too strongly on a certain issue, it's going to just taint the way I look at you and shit. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm saying, man. If Riot Room was, like, not against the shit, it would be different. But I know them to be not with that shit, man. And this was, to me, my opinion, like I said, my opinion. They just maybe more homework could have been done on the band. Maybe the cancellation, maybe they could have came out quicker or something. All those things set aside, they ended up doing the right thing to me, and I know these people, so I'm not gonna fucking come down as hard on them as a lot of people are.
Knowing
man.
and
I'm anti fucking all that shit.
Knowing all the background shit and all the
they're not Take. They're not fucking Take, man.
But and knowing all the background shit, a lot of things I can't even talk about for A, legal purposes, B, I don't want to speak for them. But I know for a fact if they would have A, known about it, or B, if they would have A, known about it, they would have never booked it. B, they can't vet and do background checks on every artist that gets booked here. There's literally sometimes 4 artists a night. 4 major, I mean, there's 2 inside, 2 outside. There's metal bands. There's all sorts of shit. Everybody has different views. Everybody has different shit that they believe in. They can't be the moral judge for anything. They're a bipartisan venue. Now, if somebody's in here, I know for a fact, if somebody gets on that stage and they're like, fuck black people, they would shut that shit down and they would probably get jumped.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that. And that's, once again, if I didn't think that this was a place that was that humane enough, I wouldn't be here. And so that's the reason why.
But with that being said, if they accidentally book something that is that way, they handle it. Like, that's all the point is to and they were working on handling it. And the thing, if we get back to Talib's show, that we offered to cancel Take. We were just trying to figure out how to legally do it without getting backlash from them. Because it's their, this is hearsay, so don't take my word for this, but they are working on a suit against Talib, the band, because he slandered them and said things that aren't true in their opinion. So it's like, as a business, they have to be cognizant and careful about the way that they cancel things. You know what I mean? So it's like there's so many different layers here that I think people just don't even understand. They just see it as they booked a Nazi band, they didn't cancel it right away. There's way more to it than that. There's 35 levels of this.
Yeah.
And that's where, when I got online trying to defend them, I looked like a sympathizer when I knew what was going on the whole time, but I couldn't say a lot of things, and I was constricted because of legal issues, because of all of it. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, I'm getting fucking looked at sideways when there was nothing that I said or did that was wrong. You know, like that's just where I'm at. I just feel like I apologize to Jarvis. Jarvis If you watch this, I apologize. You called me this morning. I was still really riled up. I fucking wasn't trying to listen to what you had to say.
A little bit, like pull like the bottom like this, other way.
Other way?
Yeah, it's just getting a little bit
Like that?
a little bit heavy. Yeah.
All right. And I apologize, Jarvis. I wasn't trying to listen to what you have to say. I understand that the way that I argued online, to a certain extent, looks like I was.
We didn't talk very much, but do you remember what the first thing I said to you was?
What?
That Quali put you in an area where there was no middle ground.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's kind of what happened?
That's exactly
Especially
what happened.
to people that are just watching it.
But
it's like you're either all the way with him or you're all the way against him.
Right. But there's a gray area here.
To me, where the gray area happened.
In this specific example, there's
like
a gray
I said, to me, where the gray area happened is throwing people in the same bus. That's where the gray area happened. I understand the intolerance for tolerance.
Right. I understand that.
It's just not the same thing. Like I said,
nope.
Tim and Dallas, if they booked them and they didn't know that they were Nazis and they didn't act quick enough to cancel the show, that does not make them the same as the people, right?
Correct. And it doesn't make me
and I know same. People, and I just think it's important for people to know, like, the details of the situation. I like I said, once again, back to the beginning. I stand by Quali to stand against it, stand by him to cancel the show, stand by his beliefs, stand against anti-Semitism and hate groups. I'm stand by that shit. And I also stand against accusations that the Riot Room is that evil, dude. It's not.
Yeah, and that's where we could just get to the point where it's like
people when like words like "I'd feel unsafe" there type of shit happen. I'm just like, you're not gonna feel safe anywhere in a lot of parts of Kansas City. Then, in my opinion, and I've lived here for a really fucking long time.
And in his statement, he was like,
"I feel safe here, no matter what race you are at the Riot." From my experience, whatever your race is, sexuality, how you dress, all that shit, right?
I mean,
so if anything, they're like, there's a sense of being too liberal with shit, where they got maybe too liberal. It's like, okay, that's where the line's drawn, right? That's what we're talking about.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, that's what we got to come to an understanding of, or even if it's not your line, you have to understand the people will get really pissed off line and where that is.
And that is.
And I know they don't. Riot Room cares about people. They want to give people good shows to go to. They want people to feel safe while they're here. I believe that. Or I wouldn't throw events here. I wouldn't put the people that come to my events here if I didn't think that.
Right.
So it's a fucking learning experience.
It is a learning experience. But with that being said, I don't think that Riot Room needs to change the way they do anything.
I hope they don't book another band with a swastika on. I mean, and I'm sure they do too.
Yeah, I'm sure they do too. And
I said, I don't think they.
And the craziest part,
I don't think they sought this band out and knew everything. I think people pitched them shows and they took a show.
This band has
and they didn't know enough
played
about it.
in this room twice.
I understand that.
And that's the thing. It's
I heard that. So they didn't know that then.
They didn't know that then.
All right.
They had been in this room.
There is a difference. There is a difference between knowing and not knowing.
They were calm. People didn't fight. There wasn't white supremacists in here trying to fucking rile each other up. That didn't happen the two previous times.
I'm crazy. I'm crazy. But to me, there's a difference between knowing and not knowing. And like I said, so then if you want to break it down a step further, like I said, could it have been handled quicker? I feel like maybe. And maybe I'm selfish because I want to see quality, but I think it just maybe could have been. But it's handled now, and I hope they can move on. I hope people don't fucking crucify this place because it has done a lot of good shit. I've met a whole bunch of really cool people here. Both people, that I've ended up, that I grew up looking up to that performed here, to people that I've met on the scene. I've been to a lot of great shows here. I've seen a lot of great bands here, met a lot of cool people here, and I've had a couple issues in 12 plus years. I mean, I feel like this could be any bar where I've had issues, but the issues weren't of this nature type of shit, really. I mean, my homeboy, I'm not going to say his name, one of my friends got too roughed up here one night over some bullshit, and we felt like it was maybe racially motivated, right?
But that was an employee, not the bar.
It was an employee, but the employee is a representation of the bar.
Correct.
So the next day, I hollered at Tim, and he was like, "Come up here." I came up and we talked, And, you know, I was like, people feel some type of way about this. Like, this dude's a good-ass dude who never threatens nobody, never physically
I know
intimidates
exactly the situation
yeah,
you're talking about.
Yeah, and we're like, that's just like, that's bad juju in the air, man.
And
Because
before
he knows a lot of people, and a
bef-
lot of people respect and love him. So
before they could even take
he was
action,
gone.
that kid moved.
Yeah.
So I get it, and I know they would have taken action on that.
So like
situation.
I said, I've had issues with this place. I've had issues with specific employees, and a handful of times out of the probably hundreds of times I've done and been at shows here. Man, I mean, I don't know. I just have a whole lot of good memories, and I know a whole lot of good people that work here from the top of the food chain to the bottom. I think I don't want to see them get, like I said, crucified for something that I think we can talk about and grow from. I think they made a mistake, but I think to go as far as to like call them supporters or sympathizers of Nazi rhetoric is just it's too far, man. I know these people, and if they were that, I wouldn't be continuously coming up here.
So with all of that being said, do you think that Quilly was wrong in handling this the way he handled it?
Like I think the best way I can think of putting it is he was like right, and then he was really right, and then he was more right.
I think he was wrong.
Too right.
I think he was wrong the first time he tweeted me.
I don't know what the first tweet was.
The first thing I said is, "Hey, I have a question. I could find it in my phone, but I have a question about the show in Kansas City that is being canceled. Where do we draw the line on artistic freedom?" It was literally a question, and now I've gotten the answer.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that to me was one of the questions that I saw you debating, where I was like, "Damn, man, like I got the answer for that." And at least my opinion or whatever.
And I got it, and I understand it, and I'm not even. I never even defended them wearing the swastika. I just asked the question, and the first response I got back was, "You're a Nazi, racist white boy. Fuck you." And it's like to me,
it's like we said, we have different temperaments and shit. And I can be very defensive and sensitive and confrontational in certain situations. But if somebody called me like a fuckboy Nazi fucking Jew, like I don't fucking know. Like I'll just be like, okay,
yeah. And
so that's where we kind of have.
That's where we're different. And
right.
I'm the type of person to take that shit on with fucking a head of steam, you know?
My thing is like, when it got to the point though, it was making these big headlines and shit, and I'm like, damn, this could affect their business. I felt like that was fucked up. And people don't have to listen to agree with me or anybody that watches this shit. Nobody has to agree with everything I say. I just hope I make some sense to fucking people, in my perspective. And people are gonna, at the end of the day, man, you got to let people think what they're gonna think. Dude.
And I never told people they couldn't think the way they did. Think, you know.
And you can't let it drive you too crazy too. I mean.
The only reason that it drives me crazy is because I see people that I've supported and when I lose money on a show, I still pay or whatever, coming out the woodwork to call me names, to fucking slander me.
It's about as sensitive as a subject as we're gonna get, man.
Yeah,
and that's why like the shit I feel like I wanted to talk about it this week. Because we put a lot of work into doing this podcast, and I believe in it. I think it could be a dope thing to get a whole lot of different things, you know, in the works and bring some people together and do something that the city hasn't really done. So I'm standing by my decision to do this podcast, and we record it here at the Riot Room.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like this was a necessary thing to do to get it out of the way.
I want
it to be a learning experience for the Riot Room, for everybody involved, and I'm pretty fucking confident it will be for everybody, and it'll end up being, like I said, a good thing in a way.
And I'm not
most bad things.
I said, and I've said 150 times, not one time did I defend this band and their actions. The only thing I asked questions because I was legitimately trying to find out. Like I really didn't know because in my opinion. It's not the same, but it's almost just as bad. The glorifying gang violence and some of the things that happen in hip hop. I don't want to point fingers or do any of that, but it's still just as violent. It's more current in our state of America than a swastika, in my opinion. There's more deaths that happen through gang violence than Nazis in America. Not saying that either one is right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I don't agree
because the gun violence is a personal issue more times than not, right? Like I feel like a big, like the Boys in the Hood or the Menace to Society, fucking, like you kill them, we kill him, they kill him, you get killed.
Yeah, and
so it's like this violent
it's a revolving cycle, right?
over blocks and drugs and personal vendettas or whatever the fucking case may be, right?
But that's where
that's different than exterminating a whole race of people.
Totally, I'm not disagreeing that it's different. I even said at the beginning of that statement, it's different. I get it, but that's why I was asking the question, because it's different, yes, but
it's very different.
It's very different, yes, but with it being said that it's different, it's still relevant in our society today.
I'd like to see less of that shit talked about, but I don't think it's something that you can necessarily go after, like I said, legally. I think that's where the cop killer thing, I just keep coming back to that.
Yeah,
and that's how it is. You can go too far. You can go too far. And that shit will become an issue for you as an artist if you do go too far.
One way
or another.
And that's going back to, I'm just trying to that's why I asked those questions, because at the time I legitimately was trying to figure that out because I didn't know. I understood that there were totally different issues, but it's still a thing. Then when I got the answer, I backed off of that, and I was just defending Riot Room. You know what I mean? And then because I asked those questions, I'm still getting attacked for literally, I'm just asking. I didn't say any answers. I didn't say anything was right or wrong. I didn't say nothing like that. Mm-hmm. I literally just asked a question. Right. Oh. And then it spiraled into what it spiraled into.
The shit definitely got super crazy.
It spiraled what it got spiraled into. And just so people out there know, this shit was going to be canceled whether I tweeted to legally or not. He was canceling the show 10 hours before I even tweeted anything. So, because a lot of people don't know the background, and I couldn't just put the background out there. And I still can't really put all of it out there, but just know that it was already happening. The reason why it was happening, not because Riot wasn't going to cancel Take, because they were already looking into the legalities of getting rid of it, but because they wouldn't publicly apologize, which I don't think they should have to publicly apologize for booking that band. A, because they didn't know. Because they didn't know. They didn't know. You know what I mean? They didn't know that picture was out there. They didn't know until Antifa tweeted them.
I don't think they have to apologize. I think if it was me, I would just say I hope I didn't offend anybody, and I hope you guys don't think we stand for that. I know they don't, but there's probably a lot of people out there that don't know that.
Right.
So that's how I would look at it. Sometimes it's not how you feel, it's how people think you feel.
Right.
About what? The announcement that what?
Their release was like, we don't want to, we're canceling this because we don't want to put anybody in harm and whatever. I don't know the whole way they worded it. But
that's the gist of it I got.
That's legit to me, because it's like, once they realize that there's real harm in this band.
And I think, and once again, if you said that band's like suing people for accusing them of being Nazis, which is kind of weird to me, but if they're doing that, then Riot's not stupid to not get on and say, we kicked them off because they're Nazis.
They didn't say that, though. They can't say that legally.
Well, that's legally, why I say that's probably why they didn't say that. I hope that's why they didn't say that.
That's exactly why they didn't say that, because legally it's not right.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I wish they would have canceled it sooner. You say they were in the works of it, so I guess they were trying to.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
But I just wish I wish it would have moved quicker. Personally, I would have liked to have seen it get canceled quicker. But
yeah, and I mean, I get it. I get that, but there's a lot.
It is what it is. Like
there's
I said,
there's a lot that goes into it.
It's canceled.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not as easy as just being like, nope, you're done. You know what I mean? There has to be. They had to figure out, if they did do that, what would the repercussions be? Right. Because now that they did cancel it, you probably don't see it because you're in the hip hop side, so you see everybody praising it. But there's a whole community of metal people.
Oh, I've seen that too.
There's a whole community of metal people who are attacking the fuck out of Riot right now for canceling it.
I see that too.
So it's like, either way, they were in a lose-lose situation. Kweli put them in a lose-lose situation. I think if he hadn't
The information that came out is what put them in the situation.
I mean, they would have canceled it either way, and the metal community probably wouldn't have been as offended. They were more offended because they canceled it because of all the pressure. If they would have seen that shit and Antifa would have gone through their shit, they would have canceled this show regardless. I know it in my heart. I know for a fact they would have canceled it. So, but Kweli took it and understood that it was a good PR move for him, and he was going to get a bunch of publicity for the rest of his fucking tour. That, mind you, let's be real, he didn't move very many tickets here pre-sale, bro. I'm not trying to hate on the man.
I don't know about that.
But I do, because I saw all them numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if the rest of the country had the same sort of view as, or the same sort of ticket sales numbers that we did here, but it wasn't very high. We have honestly, this is a real shit. Friday for Solection, we have more pre-sales than I had for Kweli. And I haven't even promoted that. So it's like, maybe this dude has seen his numbers decline, so he had to figure out a way to be relevant. And so you're going to use...
I don't think he's hurting that bad, bro.
Man, the way, bro...
I don't know.
In the behind-the-scenes shit, the way he handled it...
I saw Mobb Deep here, and there was fucking nobody here, too, bro. Like,
I know.
And they could go to a bunch of other cities and crush.
But the way he handled it in the back, in the behind-the-scenes shit...
I just don't know about that, man. I mean, I think he's got a pretty good fan base.
Yeah. The way he handled it from the behind-the-scenes appears to me and made it seem to me that it was... He believes against that for sure. But he knew it was an opportunity to get national headlines.
I'm not going to pretend to know what he wanted to do.
I'm not pretending to know. I'm just saying that to me,
like I said, I mean, I don't know.
It appears that way.
It appears to me that, I mean, I don't know about the complete every thought in his head, but if you look at his timeline, he seems to be pretty fucking serious about hunting down racists.
Yeah, and I support that. I do.
I support it too. I just think like I said, it's like when keeping it real goes wrong. That's kind of what happened. Like, I was with him, and then he was calling people names and putting labels on people that I can't say yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because he doesn't know, and that's the issue.
I can't be like yeah.
That's the issue I have in general.
It's like, so then he just thought he was so right. Like,
that's the issue I have.
I understand
in general,
like his drive. I understand what his drive is and shit. It's just like, that's where I have to be like, okay, damn, like
you can't.
I don't want to be affiliated with shit that's labeled as sympathetic
But you can't. But that's where Talib Kweli is wrong, because you can't just label somebody something without having proof. So for him to take his opinion and make it fact on his Twitter is wrong. That's wrong.
I don't know how you like really break that down. I don't know if you could like categorize that as his opinion or him saying it's fact. I don't know.
When he says that, 1.1 million Twitter followers take it as fact. So maybe you watched it happen, bro. You watched it happen with me.
I saw people like jumping on his bandwagon and
you watched it happen with me, bro. Like, because he called me that, it translated over into Facebook, and I got fucking ridiculed. You know what I'm saying? When those people should damn well know that that's not true, because this is local Facebook. This is this is people that I see and talk to regularly, took his word and translated it over here and made me out to be this way.
I think some of the people maybe don't know you as well as you thought they did, or they did. I don't know. Maybe shit with some of these people ain't what you think it is.
And maybe that's true.
And that's what's crazy to me with the Facebook shit too, with the social network and shit, is people say this shit and act this way and all that, and then you see them in person and they rarely let themselves be voiced like they will online.
Well, that's because they're scared I'm going to beat them up.
Well, it's whether it's scared, people are scared of that, or whether people
I'm not going to beat
like,
anybody up.
Like
I fought enough against for 4 years.
Afraid of like confrontation as a whole or whatever. People just for whatever reason over time have gotten more and more. But
that's where
online.
This is where my issue still lies. I'm not saying Kweli's wrong or right. I'm not saying anything. Where I'm saying he's wrong, and I'm gonna stand on it until I'm fucking dead, is that he cannot just label somebody something without knowing the facts. You know what I mean? He didn't research Riot Room as a venue before he just decided they were Nazi sympathizers. He didn't do any research. He just tweeted it, and then it became fact. And that's general public. That's an issue I have with everyone. Just saying, oh, this man says this, so it's fact. You know what I mean? And that's where it really offended me and made me mad and made me start to have to defend myself, because one man said something and then all of a sudden it was quote unquote facts. And that shit is just not right. It's not right. It dilutes his whole fucking message, in my opinion. It makes me feel like everything he does is just fucking to say it because he said it about me. So that means everybody else that he calls Nazi and racist on his Twitter, they could be like me. They could be like me. So then you're muddying down your whole argument without even meaning to. You know what I'm saying?
I guess. I guess. I think so. I think he firmly believes in a lot of what he says. That's the vibe I get.
He firmly believes that I'm a Nazi?
I mean, he said it a bunch of times.
Probably about 50 times. I get it.
I'm guessing if you say something 40 times, you mean it. I don't know.
But
maybe I'm crazy to think that, but I think he thinks he's right, and I think he's right on a lot of things that he said and stood for, and I have no problem with a lot of things he said and stood for. But like I said, I can't agree with someone that calls people that I don't condemn from being around me, racist and Nazi sympathizers, because then that makes me look I'm fucking stupid and I don't have no common sense.
So now you're essentially in the same boat as I am. Because we were going to do this show.
Nazi.
I know, but we were going to do this show. So if you hang out with me and talk to me regularly, that's got to make you a Nazi sympathizer.
I don't want to be one, but like I said, I know I'm not.
And I know I'm not. And ultimately, I know that I'm not.
Matters. I don't know if can I be like the Chappelle character? Can I be like the Jewish Nazi? Is that against the rules?
And I know that ultimately it doesn't matter what this man says about me, and I'll continue to let my track record speak for itself. But it really got to me when I went back to Facebook and then I saw how many people just turned on me and Riot Room like that.
People like to do that shit these days, man.
And it's just like, yo, where's your loyalty at? Like you guys talk to me on a regular basis. You've seen me throw 60 shows a year for the past 5 years. And not one time has anybody ever thrown that allegation at me. And this one man who's never met me throws that allegation, and now I'm that way.
Like I said, there's things about this thing that to me were issues, and I think they obviously got addressed, and people felt a whole bunch of different ways about it or whatever. And I think since Trump got elected, man, it did something to people too, dude.
Yeah, and that's because we got a bigot in office.
Yeah,
and
so we're just like there's like this ill fucking like internal pressure to like shine the light on all that fuck shit and like temp check people and be like, nah, fuck that, right? Just to make sure that like we haven't lost our sanity,
correct,
or our humanity that other people feel like we do. And that's what I don't feel like I'm out of touch with that. I feel like I'm very able to differentiate hate from love and good from bad, and intentions, good intentions from bad intentions. And I think they just made a mistake where they moved too quick and the shit blew up. That's what I think, man. I'm sorry the whole shit happened. I wish they never would have booked him, but I'm 99.9% sure to 100% sure that these dudes didn't like look him up and be like, ooh, dude, swastika shit. Let's pump that.
Yeah.
Like swastika shit. Yeah, that's what we need. I don't think it went down like that at all. I think they probably looked at their numbers, looked at their ticket sales, looked at the fact they were here before, But with that said, the fucking the stamp that comes out of this shit, hopefully on the scene on Midtown Kansas City and shit, is like fucking no Nazis and shit.
Yeah, and
fucking no Nazis, dude. Not even
Nazis.
fake Nazis, not even prank Nazis, not any kind of Nazis, dude. No Nazis, no Nazi rule.
No prank Nazis.
No Nazis. No Nazis.
I firmly stand by that, and I don't want that shit or white supremacist shit to ever be around me.
Let's temp check that shit. I mean, I'm not trying to monitor the fucking black metal scene. But here's my thing though, dude. My opinion is if I was y'all, I would try to get a little more understanding of people who are super offended. Hopefully, you can have this ill genre without swastikas. That'd be tight. Hopefully you can enjoy yourselves without swastikas, dude.
Well, and most of black metal isn't about that.
I believe that. And I understand that they look at it as a fucking thing. They don't look at it as real. But here's my thing too. So there's always got to be a flip side. Here's my argument against that. Do you think someone who was just utterly against something would prank it?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think, you know what I mean? It's another one of those things with like a line drawn, right? Like,
yeah.
Like if my neighbor's just always fucking pounding on shit and it's driving me crazy and he's black, I'm not going to leave a fucking noose on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Like like if you do that as a joke, like you're exposed as at least insensitive as fuck with a terrible sense of humor, and you deserve to be grabbed by your fucking neck and thrown through a wall. You feel me? So like,
and I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
So I just feel like when I try to like micro break it down, like you know, where like I don't think that the band are actual Nazis is my guess from looking at it. With that said, if you prank it, I have a hard time believing that you're utterly against it.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And the more that I have time to like process this and think about it without being angry because of what he called me, I agree with everyone on the fact that this band
my hopes and what I aim for is always for people just to get along. I know people aren't going to always see eye to eye. I just, man.
Yeah,
be better than decent.
I guess
you know what I'm saying, like be better than decent, man. Care about people. I mean, and I've known you to care for, do a lot of cool things for a lot of people, man. I don't know you to be a cold or closed-minded, closed-hearted person.
Right.
So I don't. Yeah, dude.
And the more I think about it, and we have these discussions, now I'm understanding a lot more of why there was such an outrage to this.
Right.
Not because I was insensitive to Nazis or the swastika, but 3 days ago, I felt like, man, this shit happened 11 years ago. These dudes have been denouncing this shit for 10 years. You can get a felony expunged in less time. You could murder somebody, go to jail for 2 years, get out, and then it'd be off your record. Yeah. And never stain you again in less time.
You can, but these people feel that way.
Yeah.
So that comes with it.
Yeah, and I get it. And now that I've like processed it and we've had all these open dialogues, I understand it. And I don't even want to fucking, after this, I don't even want to talk about it no more. Like, I want it to be done. Unless somebody comes in here and is a white supremacist or a Nazi and they don't handle it, then it should never even be thrown at any of us that we are.
Yeah, I want to say that. If anybody's like into wearing swastikas and shit, don't come near me. Don't come to the riot room.
No, because we'll fuck you up.
Don't let them get you gassed thinking that you can come up in there with that shit.
You can't do that. And that's not okay. And again, before we end this, because we let this thing breathe out. I feel like it's 4:40. What have we been doing this for like an hour or so? About an hour.
I think that's good.
So we can kind of wrap it up. But just to end my point and to get myself out there, I just want everybody to realize that I'm not sympathizing with that band in any way, shape, or form. I defended Riot Room in booking them because they didn't know that this shit had happened. I defended Riot Room the whole time because I knew behind the scenes they were working on canceling this. But I couldn't say that. You know what I mean? I couldn't come out and be like, yo, they're working on canceling this, guys. Leave them alone. I can't say that. Because if it comes out that legally they can't cancel it and they had to figure out a way around it, then I get Riot Room in trouble. You know what I mean? So when I'm out here trying to defend it, I'm trying to defend them without like giving information that I'm not allowed to give. So it makes it harder for me to defend it. And now that I look back on it more, I probably should have just shut my fucking mouth. But that's not me. I don't shut my mouth. You know what I mean?
Life's full of learning experiences, even for big boys like me.
Yeah, and I get it, and I apologize to the people that I may have offended by questioning things, but I legitimately was questioning the whole issue. And now I understand where the line is, and I get it. I don't know if I necessarily deep down in my heart agree with the line, because there are still lots of violent things that are said without being hateful. So where's that? That'll be a discussion that we we might not ever agree on, which is fine. But that doesn't make me a bigot or a racist or a Nazi sympathizer. It makes me a person
unsympathetic to some things.
Which is, you can say that, and I'm not going to disagree with that. But with that being unsympathetic to certain things, I don't want Nazis around me. If a Nazi says something to me and they say they're openly Nazi, I'm probably hitting them in the face. But if it's hearsay, you can't hit somebody in the face over hearsay. You can't do that. That's where I stand. If that offends somebody, my bad. You know what I mean? But I couldn't not stand up for myself when this man that doesn't know me slandered my name and said things to me. So, with that being said, if anything that I said over the last 72 hours or so affected anybody else's business or anything, I'm sorry. I apologize. Send those people to me. You know what I mean? If somebody's getting at you and they're having all these questions, send them to me. I'll take it on and we'll talk about it. But I'm not that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. We're basically closing it out. I guess let me sneak in. I just want the best for all the great people I know in Kansas City of all ethnicities, religious beliefs, sexual preference, all kinds of different people that I have love for in this city, man. And I don't want to see any more division and hate between us. You know, I want racism, anti-Semitism, anything like that to be called out. There's no room for it. But let's grow as a city. Let's talk about shit. Let's hug it out. The FYTB podcast.
The FYTB podcast. Tune back
week,
in.
It'll be a little more official. We're going to have the interwebs hooked up in here and, you know, signs and all kinds of cool shit, man. I'm Info Gates, ST Dub, Riot Room, Kansas City. Peace.
Peace.
Check your audio.